let's hop right into it then. What made the two of you decide to kind of teach a course abroad, and more specifically, the English course at Oxford that's offered in conjunction with U of T?
We had been thinking about it for a long time, and we've also had taught together, had done some team teaching together here. Of course, there's a kind of an easy fit for the most part between an English literature course and Oxford. Ways to feel like you're immersed in the literature by being there. There were lots of motivating factors for wanting to do it, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I had been a student there many years ago, and it was also like a real motivation to want to go back. And I had really enjoyed my time there, but to want to go back and to also to have that sort of intense experience of sort of a course done sort of every day for a month is sort of a very different kind of teaching experience. So I was curious about trying that out as well.
Absolutely. And, you spoke as well on the literary traditions, I suppose, of the UK and perhaps Oxford in particular. In terms of, I guess, English summer abroad programs, do you think that's the main key point of applying to the Oxford program as well, in terms of, a rival program in English summer abroad is Italy, for example, right? And what would you say is perhaps like the main distinction between the two in terms of, applying to Oxford versus elsewhere for English during the summer?
For teaching the English novel, it's very useful to be in England, not only because the novel, the history of the English novel takes you from very different moments in the English past, but also the language of England is very distinct. And if you're spending time in England, listening to people speak, reading the newspapers, traveling around, then the language of England gets into your head, and then you're reading it on the page, and it comes alive even more, I think. That's one of the reasons why it works so well to study the novel in particular in England.
So definitely for English students, it's a obvious and great fit to go to Oxford, but there are opportunities of cultural enrichment that would be available by opting for going to Italy as well, without question.
And Professor Downs, I just want to maybe add on to, or extend as well to your mention of, kind of immersing yourself in English culture, right, and British culture as well while you're there, and how that translates to your understanding of the novels that you're, taking in throughout English 296 or other, English courses that are offered at Oxford. And so what did the two of you think about the distinction as a course offered, in England versus if you were to take English 296 at U of T?
It's a huge difference from doing a regular academic course in Toronto. I mean, on the one hand, you're devoting a lot longer time to your study, and that has certain intellectual benefits, but the intensity of this experience that was the most valuable aspect of it for me. I really enjoyed getting to know the students, and it was so much easier to get to know students in this context than it is in Toronto in a regular classroom experience. Mm-hmm. So that it's socially really enriching in important ways. So it's socially and culturally enriching in ways that we often kind of miss out on in the sort of normal U of T classroom experience.
We organized the field trips so that the students would see different parts of England, but each part of England was intimately connected to one of the novels or two of the novels. So we went to Bath, one of the cities that was very important for Jane Austen. The students went on a wonderful tour of the city, led by somebody who really brought Austen and her books alive and told them a lot about the city. Well, we went to London, which was important for Virginia Woolf, but also for Zadie Smith. White Teeth, and Charles Dickens.
Right, yeah. And to Yorkshire, with its kind of real connection to the Brontes, and in fact to the Brontes village, Hayworth, which was a real highlight of the trip for me. I had never been there, and that was really exciting. And a trip to Blenheim Palace was sort of meant to go along with our reading of Remains of the Day, as it was, a very extravagant country home. So that helped provide context for the novel.
Yeah, I completely, again, agree. I think the field trips as well, I can attest firsthand how insightful they were, right, in connection with all our readings, and how, wonderful they were to do, right, and last summer, when we could not have imagined the state of the world that we're currently in. as well as the, what you touched on as well, Professor Morgenstern, about the idea, English 202, 203, 250, and 252 are usually large English classes, right? And sometimes you lose that small, I guess, seminar type of discussion that, is sometimes only accessible in upper year programs, not only in English, but across the board. And I guess that's a key benefit as well of summer abroad, right? Being in a small classroom and getting to know the two of you as well. So that kind of brings us into our next question here. I know you mentioned Yorkshire as a personal highlight of yours, Professor Morgenstern. Do you both have individual favorite memories from the course that is, a key standout for you?
Well, I really liked the fact that we were fortunate that the students at Oxford were putting on a production of Wuthering Heights in the city at the same time that we were teaching the novel. So some of the students and we were able to go to see this production outdoors at Wadham College, and that was just a great opportunity to bring the novel alive in a different way.
I mean, and to be even more specific about Hayworth, when we decided, you can't, obviously you can never count on the weather anywhere, and it was pouring and it was cold and it was miserable, very atmospheric, but
talk about prophetic fallacy, I suppose.
Yeah, but then we went for a walk on the moors and the sun came out and it was unbelievably beautiful. That definitely stood out as a favorite moment for me of the whole trip. Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, quite the juxtaposition of weather, right? So throughout the month, but it was certainly fantastic. So when it is safe to travel again, of course, what do the two of you think about in terms of why students should choose the Oxford Summer Abroad program?
The Summer Abroad program allows students to spend more time with each other too. They get to know each other very well, and that makes them a little bit more comfortable in the classroom. So I think it's a great way to improve your ability to talk in the classroom and to communicate with your students and your professors. It's an opportunity just to see another part of the world, and for some students that's a new experience. I know we had some students in the class who had not been abroad at all before, and that itself seemed to be an important part of their education, just to see another country. And England is it's politically, culturally, musically alive in the summer. And if you can catch a football game too, it's even better.
You don't need to tell me twice about that one.
Yes, we remember.
I think that's very well said, for sure, in the sense that you're there for the month. And I will end with one final question as well. What do the two of you have as like the biggest piece of advice for prospective students that will be going, I suppose, for the Shakespeare course, or just more generally as well in terms of summer abroad at Oxford?
I mean, one thing I would say is don't underplay the fact that it is a significant amount of work in a condensed time. And so paying, you usually get your syllabus ahead of time, you have a sense of what the course expectations are. I think it's sort of really important to acquaint yourself with that ahead of time, and probably to do some reading ahead of time, because when you're there, you want to be able to take like full advantage of the range of experiences, and you'll be able to do that with a lot less anxiety if you've begun to think through the academic piece of your work a bit first.
So that means doing some of the reading ahead of time, for example.
Like looking at the syllabus, seeing what the reading is.
That might make
doing some reading.
Head start, for sure.
And I think be prepared to be sociable and get to know your classmates, because it's very easy to get lost at Toronto in a big university, but this is your opportunity to really get to know people and learn collectively, learn as a group.
I think those are two, very excellent points. And as well, I guess the fact that in addition to the English program at Oxford, there's also sometimes political science being offered, or criminology, which allows for an even greater, I guess, bonding experience between interdisciplinary U of T students, perhaps. Which is unique. Unique to the Oxford program, I suppose. Another draw there. Thank you both, Professor Morgenstern and Professor Downs, the two of you, for taking the time today. I know on behalf of Summer Abroad, we're definitely appreciative.